Hey guys, welcome back to Photography for the Rest of Us, a place for people who love the art of photography. My name's Carrie, and this is week 2, day 1 of our Learn Photo Challenge. Hey guys, we made it to week 2. Awesome! If for whatever reason you're watching this video and you missed week 1, you can either jump in now with us, or if you want to go back to do the 5 days of week 1, those are totally still on here, so please feel free. As always, use the hashtag LearnPhotoChallenge and hashtag photos for the rest of us to share your images with me. And if you would like to, you could join our Facebook group. The link is down below, and Anna Tenne runs that. She is amazing, and we have partnered together for this whole program and challenge. So if you're not a part of that, join down in the description, and there is a thread for the challenge every day of the week for this month. Okay, so let's get into it. It is officially week 2, and that means shutter speed. I am so excited because shutter speed has so many more like options and abilities and cool, funky tricks than aperture does. Aperture is great, but if all you do to create dynamic images is a shallow depth of field, like everything looks the same, right? Shutter speed, you can do all sorts of amazing stuff. And with that, let's get into prompt for day 1, and that is frozen in time. Yes, we are talking fast shutter speed, so we want to freeze the action with some images kind of like these ones. All right, so what we're really looking for here is dynamic, fun, energetic images, things where motion is frozen, crisp images, things that show that your shutter speed is nice and high to get those frozen motion moments. Say that, I feel like I'm in a Dr. Seuss book all of a sudden. Okay, so let's break down shutter speed a little bit before we get into it too far. I don't have a ton to talk about today, but I want to kind of give you guys a lay of the land. So here's the deal with shutter speed, right? You can either have a slower shutter speed or a faster shutter speed. Done, lesson over. No, I'm totally joking. Okay, so the advantages and disadvantages of that, right? Like if your shutter speed is too slow, you can get blur from either you moving the camera, which is called shutter shake, or from your subject moving, which is just called motion blur. Sometimes those effects can be really fun, and stay with me because towards the middle and the end of the next couple days over the week, we're going to play with that. But today, what I really want you to focus on is a faster shutter speed. And the challenge with a faster shutter speed is A, you have to figure out how fast the thing you're trying to photograph is moving, right? And B, when you move into a much faster shutter speed, you lose light. Just like when we were working with a closed down aperture, giving us a bigger depth of field, and that made us lose light. When we speed up our shutter speed, that means that we lose light as well, because if you think of your camera as an eyeball, your shutter speed is your blink. So if you blink really fast, not much light comes in, and if you blink slower, it has more time for light, right? Okay. So as we're deciding to compose these shots, this week, what I want you to think about is shutter speed first. So going back to that exposure triangle, if you aren't comfortable with the exposure triangle or shooting in manual, I do have a 10 series video on getting started in manual mode. I will put it up there so you can check that out. It'll help you with some of these terms and stuff I'm talking about. But exposure triangle, okay? Just like we talked about last week, where aperture was like our most important part, this week we're focusing on shutter speed. So shutter speed is the determining factor for all of the other calculations for our exposure, okay? So today, fast shutter speed. That means I'm gonna say, all right, I'm gonna take a picture of my kid on a skateboard, okay? Skateboards move pretty fast. Maybe we'll go 1/2000th of a second, okay, to take a shot of my kid on the skateboard. So that is my shutter speed, determined. 1/2000th of a second. Obviously, you can adjust from here. I'm making these numbers up. Okay, cool. So I also want to kind of blur out the background of the skate park. I really want the focus to be on my kid, but I don't want it so open that if they move a little bit, I lose focus. So maybe 2.8-ish, all right? So I'm gonna put my lens around 2.8, and I'm gonna put my shutter speed at like 1/2000th of a second. Now, we have two parts of our exposure triangle, right? So ISO is that third part. All you have to do with your ISO in determining your exposure is use that to like get you the rest of the way there. If you know you want this setting and you know you want this setting, then this is just your support with your ISO. And if that means you have to increase it because it's a little cloudy, or you need to increase your shutter speed a little bit because, oh yeah, I'm already at 100 ISO and it's still too bright, right? You can make those decisions. But remember, you choose the most important part first, and this week it's shutter speed, followed by the depth of field, followed by your ISO as a support. Okay, so that makes sense, right? Okay, Carrie, I'm gonna go take some fast shutter speed things. Cool. Let's keep in mind a few little things, okay? First off, when you're talking about shutter speed, if somebody is running around, probably 1/500th of a second, okay? Unless possibly they run really fast. If somebody is like I'm talking toddler running, 1/500th of a second. If like somebody is an athlete and running, we're talking like 1/1000th of a second. And if it is anything like a moving vehicle or a bike or something, probably 1/2000th of a second or more, right? And then once you get into like cars and birds are really fun. If you happen to have some around, go get like a granola bar and have your friend toss it up in the air and try and catch the birds like mid-flight. It's harder than you think, especially with the light sky and the shadow of the bird, but it is really good practice. So that's a good one, but you have to be really fast. Like I'm talking 1/4000th of a second, right, to get that exposure. So I want you playing with that and keeping in mind you're gonna have to adjust those other things to compensate when you're going with a really fast shutter speed. Okay, another thing to keep in mind, I want you to look at this lovely setup. This is my little setup. I didn't do a video because honestly, my basement is kind of a dark cave and I was using all of the light I possibly could to take these photos. I normally shoot with a strobe, so the darkness isn't really a problem, but because I was doing specifically shutter speed, I wanted to show you guys this technique and not have the strobe help to freeze anything. So it was a little crowded. So I didn't film it. Here's the picture. So moving in, this is the picture we took. So my lovely daughter helped me. This is Nora. And she helped me by throwing this confetti in the air. And now I desaturated both the background and Nora so that you could specifically see that confetti. And this shot is taken at 1/320th of a second, okay? That's pretty slow for anything being thrown. And you can see by the confetti, all of them are blurry, right? The ones that are close to her, the ones that are further away, everything is blurry in the picture. It looks fun and it's colorful. There's nothing wrong with this picture, but if we're talking shutter speed, everything is blurry in this photo as far as the confetti is concerned. She was holding still, and 1/320th of a second is fast enough to freeze a person if they're not like moving really fast, okay? All right, so then let's look at this picture. This was taken at 1/1250th of a second, all right? Now, I know what you're saying to me right now. I know you're saying, wait a minute, Carrie, some of these are blurry too. Yes, you are correct, and that is the point of these pictures that I wanted to show you guys, all right? The reason that they are blurry is not your shutter speed, all right? Because remember, when we talk about the exposure triangle, we're talking about 3 parts, right? So for this photo, I told you I was in a really dark room. You saw the picture. It looks bright on the cell phone picture I took to show you guys, but it is not bright. And to have a really fast shutter speed, there was just not enough light coming out of those little video LEDs. So I was shooting wide open. And because I like getting like the bokeh behind her, you know, for the portrait and stuff. So because of that, I was shooting at about 2.8. And if we zoom in and look at the picture, the pieces of paper that are closest to her face are in focus, right? All right, let's look at this yellow one here. You see how it is crisp around the edges, but it's just out of focus? That's because there's a difference between motion blur and out of focus, right? Depth of field out of focus. And that is the trick of what's happening here. The pieces of confetti that are out of my focal range and the depth of field that is in focus for this picture are out of focus. But everything is frozen with the shutter speed. So the point is, if you're struggling to take a picture where everything is crisp and sharp and in focus, possibly you also need to increase your aperture, which would give you even less light into your lens, which means your ISO is definitely going to have to come in and support there, right? Does that make sense? Like, if everything is right here and on one plane, you can get everything in focus. But as soon as you start going this way or this way, some things become out of focus, even if they're frozen. And these pieces of confetti are absolutely frozen. They're just blurry because they're not in focus. Does that make sense? Okay, that is all I have for you guys. See? Fast, easy. This one is easy, guys. Don't forget, all you have to do is put them on Instagram with hashtag LearnPhotoChallenge and hashtag photos for the rest of us, and then put them on the thread in our Learn Facebook group so that I can see them. You're welcome to tag me and ask questions or whatever if you have any. We started off easy today because we are building, all right? Last week, aperture, fairly easy stuff, some fun techniques for your toolbox, right? This week, we're gonna start off easier, fast shutter speed, good, easy concept, and by the end of the week, we'll be doing all sorts of really cool, fun, crazy stuff, all right? So I am really, really excited for all of this, and I am so proud of all of you guys who have been doing this for like all week, and you've been doing all the pictures and doing the work and learning the stuff, and I'm really, really impressed, and I'm so proud of you guys. I love that you're stepping out of your comfort zones, and that's really what all of this is about and why I'm doing this with you guys, right? So if you haven't already, pretty please hit the subscribe and the notification bell. I will tell you a secret. I frequently upload the videos like at midnight the night before, but I don't post in the Learn group until around 7 or 8 a.m., sometimes a little later. So if you're subscribed and you have the notification bell turned on, you get the video before everybody else. I'm just saying. Also, if you are enjoying this, leave a nice comment down below because I like getting comments. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the next challenge. Bye!